There you go. Have a good session.
Okay, thank you. So welcome to the last session of today. This session is about blockchain and contact tracing. And I'm Joseph Liu from Monash University in Melbourne, Australia. And together with me, Koya will be also the session co-chair of the last session of today. So there will be two papers in this session. The first paper is key value commitments for blockchains and beyond. The authors are Shashank Agrawal and Srinivasan Waharawan. Sorry for not pronouncing very correctly her name. And I think Srini is the presented author. Yeah, Srini, please.
Thank you, Joseph. No, I actually did a pretty good job, I think, with the names. So thank you for that. And let me get started with the presentation. Okay, so I think you should be able to see my screen, so I'll get started. So hello, everyone. My name is Srini, and this is joint work with the Shashank Agrawal, QUAC, Key Value Commitments for Blockchains and Beyond. It's going to be a challenge to explain this in 5 minutes, but I'll give it a shot. So motivated by the goal of stateless validation for blockchains, in particular account-based blockchains, we want to design key value commitments that let us commit to a key value map, which in the context of an account-based blockchain, like say Ethereum, could be a map of just account names and account balances in the simplistic setting. So what are the properties we would like for this commitment to have? Firstly, we would like for there to be no a priori bound required on the size of the map that could be committed over time. And in particular, we also want the commitment and the public parameters to be of constant size. Then we say it must be possible to insert key value pairs into this key value commitment. So for instance, here, Alice says, well, my account name is Alice, and I have a balance of 20K. Bob says 10K. They must be able to insert this into the key value commitment, adding these tuples into the map that's being committed to. Furthermore, they both should be able to receive these constant size proofs that let them prove their respective key value tuples within the map that's being committed. Then we'd like to have some form of update for the values associated with keys inside this map. In particular, we're going to focus on additive updates. So if the value associated with the key K is V, we'd like to be able to update the value V to V plus delta. Now, what's the use case for this? Well, imagine a setting in a blockchain setting where Alice, say, wants to pay Bob 1K, then Alice should be able to somehow work with the commitment to modify the key value pairs corresponding to herself and Bob to reflect this transaction having taken place. Now, two very important points that I'd like to highlight here is that this also means that Alice need not know how much Bob initially had. So Bob initially had 10K, but that's not something that Alice needs to know. All Alice needs to know is that she has more than 1K and that she should be able to modify the commitment by proving this. Furthermore, Bob need not be involved in this move at all, right? So Bob is just a recipient of the payment. He's getting 1K, needn't be involved in actually executing this. And this is a property which we call oblivious updates, so additive updates that are oblivious to prior values, and it's something that we really want our key value commitment to have. Finally, it must be possible for all parties to update their proofs based on update information that's being circulated when the map changes. And this must be an efficient process, essentially to keep their proofs up to date so that they can continue proving their key value tuples within the map. Finally, they must be able to verify, it must be possible to verify their proofs against the key value commitment. So if Alice says, hey, look, I have 19K, you must be able to take Alice's proof, look at the commitment, and say, yes, that was indeed true. And if Bob says, hey, look, I have 20K, well, that's not really true because Bob only had 11K. So formally, these requirements which we have are that of correctness, which is the obvious thing you would expect. If you conduct some operations, honestly, everything must work. And key binding, which is that it must be hard to produce a proof for a non-existent key, that is proof of any value for a non-existent key, and a proof of an incorrect value for an existing key. So these are the formal requirements. So this is our work, key value commitments, with all these properties. If all operations are efficient, everything is of constant size. In particular, there's the complete independence from the size of the map a priori, and all additive updates can be performed oblivious to prior values, and the security of our construction is based on the RSA assumption. If I had to give a 1-minute summary, the idea is basically this. So we're working in RSA groups of unknown order, where the RSA assumption holds. This could be the standard RSA groups, class groups, or any group where RSA essentially holds. And like the usual RSA accumulator and many other papers, these ZIs are just public values that are hashes of the keys. Now, why is this construction at all of any use? The point is that the exponent is essentially a linear function in all the values that are being committed. And these values, the coefficients for this linear function are essentially public. So in order to do additive updates, if I want to change VI to VI plus delta I just have to multiply by some quantity that only depends on public values and is independent of VI. So the main idea is that I should be able to do oblivious updates. And the other part of the expression, which has the summation terms with all the other values, would essentially come from the proof that this party maintains, because typically the proofs are commitments to all the other values in the key value map. So this is the broad idea. Of course, it doesn't immediately work. There's a lot of work you have to put in, and which is why I would urge you to look at the full talk that's posted, as well as look at the paper. Quack is whack. It's really fun. It's really interesting. I urge you to look at that. And yeah, that's basically all I had for today. That's our work. That's the summary. And thank you.
Thank you, Smini. So just want to ask any questions from the audience. So if anyone has a question, you can type in the chat or turn on your microphone to speak.
Yeah, I just have one simple question probably, because yeah, I have watched your video, put it on the YouTube, that you mentioned that your scheme is probably very efficient compared with previous schemes. So I'm wondering, is there any like trade-off, like regarding the security compared with previous or key value commitments?
Was that trade-offs in security?
Yeah, I mean, compared with previous schemes, probably your scheme may be more efficient, but I'm wondering, is there any trade-off in your scheme?
Yeah, that's a good question. No, I mean, so the security of the scheme is based on regular RSA, just like say RSA accumulators or many of the prior works. But it has these additional properties which makes it more efficient to do the things we want, like these oblivious updates or constant size public parameters, independence of the map, which is a big thing, which many of the constructions don't have. So yeah, I wouldn't say there's actually a trade-off. It is just as secure, but just has other properties because of its form.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions from other audience? Yeah, Jill, I have a question. Say, I just want to ask, is it possible to have a negative value for the increment or to update with a negative value?
That's an excellent question. In fact, that's something we shouldn't, I mean, you can have it, but it's something you would have to check. So for instance, imagine the situation where Alice tries to pay Bob 1K, right? So one change was incrementing Bob's account by 1K, which we can do, but the other change is also decrementing Alice's account by 1K, which is also possible. But for instance, you shouldn't allow, which you would take care of with other parts of a protocol once you put it into a system, like Alice trying to add minus 1K to Bob, right? So that shouldn't be possible, but that is through other checks. Functionally, this can support both positive and negative updates.
Then your system also supports the range proof, which may be a necessary tool for doing this kind of negative increment?
Yes.
Okay, see, that's good. Yeah, because say when compared to the UTXO model, we use a range CT, this kind of things. We also need to have a range proof to provide security for this, say the integer overflow, the error.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, so is there any other further questions from audience? No, if no, let's thank the speakers, Winnie, for your talk. And the next one, let me pass the time to Choir to chair the next paper.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. So let's move on to the next paper, the second paper of the session, also the last one of the conference program today. The title is Catalytic Delegated PSI Cardinality with Application to Contact Tracing by Thái Dương, Dương Hiểu Phan, and Ni Triệu. And Ni will give the presentation. Ni, please. Ni, you can start when you are ready.
You are muted.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, thank you for the introductions. And hi everyone. So I'll present our paper today. And this is a joint work with Thái from Google and Hugh from Telecom Paris. So I will start with an overview of contact tracing. And you know that contact tracing is to find out all individual that infected person has been in contact with. And we want to do it because we would like to stop the disease spread. So most of the current contact tracing approaches are based on Bluetooth and work as follows. When Alex and Bob are close, like for example in 6 weeks, both use a SIS to generate and broadcast a random tokens. And because Alex nearby, she saved all the nearby random token to her phone. So you can see here number 1, 2, 3 on both of the phone. And a few days later, when Bob is positive with disease, Bob uploads all the Cs used to his random token to the servers. So now the server have number 1, 2, 3. And Alex downloads all the infected random tokens, all the Cs, and then check the exposure status. So you can see that the user broadcast and save random numbers. So it looks like that the personal information is never shared or collected, right? However, it's not always true. There are several problems that include security issues. For example, a linkage attack or replay attack. The current solution is also not scalable for on the end user device, and they have the high false positive or false negative rate. So in this paper, we want to address the linkage attack, and we want to improve the performance of contact tracing, especially on the user device. So I'll present a little bit more detail about the issue here. So because of all infected tokens are publicly available, so when doing the comparison, Alice can learn which token is infected. So Alice can see number 1, 2, 3. And then Alice can infer when, where, and from whom she received this token. And then Alice can re-identify both. And also the attacker can learn the travel route of the infected individuals. Besides the security issue, they have the performance issues. So you can see here, the user needs to download all the tokens or the system of infected users. So it means that you need a good phone to do a contact tracing. So in the paper, we propose a delegated contact tracing systems where Alice distributes her received token to several cloud servers using the secret sharing. So it means that the sum of the value, for example, number 1, 2, 3 equal the sum of the value, for example, number 120 and 3, some of them equal to 123, right? And now the cloud servers and the backend server run secure computations, and Alice is the person to learn whether they either match. So in secure computation here is delegated PSICA. So Alice have this set of Y, the backend server have the set of X, And we have a set of cloud servers with no input. And Alex learns the size of the intersection and nothing else. So in the paper, we propose the first delegated PSICA protocol. And we also introduced a new crypto package, which we call Oblivious Distributed Key PF, where the key and the OPF values is distributed. So you can see the paper for more detail. But when integrate our new delegated PICI in contact tracing systems, we can prevent the linkage attack. In the meanwhile, our systems is fast in the running time and have lowest communication costs. Thank you for listening, and you can see the paper on ePrint and the demo of my code, our code here in the GitHub.
Okay, thank you, Ni, for the presentation. We have a question. We have time for Q&A. So currently, I don't see any questions in the Zoom chat or in the IACR stream. Okay, so I have a question. So your communication cost from the client side is quite good in the concrete for concrete parameters. So how is the cost in the asymptotic sense? How does it depend on the number of cloud servers and on the client set size?
Yes. So on the user, it only depend on the size of the users, the set size of the users. Yeah, it doesn't depend on anything on the server size. So because we delegated in our system, the user delegate. So you can think like the users just send the encrypted of their set to the cloud servers and receive the output, whether yes or no. So it doesn't depend on the users, the server set size.
But the dependence on the client set size is linear, right, or sublinear?
Sorry?
The dependence of the communication cost on the client set size is a linear dependence?
Linear, yeah, in linear, yeah.
But very small constant, right?
Yes, it's very small. It's only one constantly one or maybe actually 1.3 because we use the Google hashing. So actually the coefficient is 1.3. But in the contact tracing systems, the user have a small set size. For example, in the 40 days, you have around 1,000 around 10,000 tokens in your phone.
So my second question is about the computational assumptions. So what are the computational assumptions that you need for your constructions?
Yeah, so because we use secret sharing, so we assume that the server, some of the server not collude. So we assume that one of the server in the cloud server doesn't collude with the backend server.
Okay, so but my question is about a concrete computational assumption, because it seems that you use oblivious PIF in some sense, which in turn depends on oblivious transfer. So what kind of assumption, computational assumption that you need, like DDH or discrete lot or?
Oh, random Morocco. It's just based on whatever oblivious transfers have the assumptions. So it's based on oblivious transfers. So it depends on which kind of oblivious transfer you use. So basically, in the secure computation here, we use PF. So it depends on what kind of PF you use in the systems.
I see.
Thank you for the questions.
Another question is, it seems that your construction is proven securely in the semi-honest setting.
Yes.
Can you comment on the possibility of achieving security in the malicious setting?
Yeah, we didn't think about that one. So I think this is a very good question in the future work. Yeah, so my point, so from my opinions, I think that you can have, you can build the oblivious. Maybe probably you can use the malicious version of OPF. Maybe you can use a malicious version of OPF. But I think it's very hard because in our system, we use secret sharing scheme. So somehow you only need somehow you need to some commitment to check whether you do the secret sharing scheme is correct.
Yeah. So I don't see any other question from the audience. So let me ask the last questions. So for secret sharing, so you explicitly use some kind of XOR operations, this kind of
Yes.
a one-time batch. So there's your definition of ODK PIF, as well as your instantiation can be extended to capture more general types of secret sharing, like SAMI secret sharing, or it has to be the XOR.
No, it can be, so it can be, so this is something inside the ODKPF. So in ODKPF, we have the homomorphisms. So it means that we have addition homomorphisms. So any kind of PF, if you want to do more, so like for example, secret sharing, SAMI secret sharing is not, probably it doesn't work. But for multiplicative sharing, maybe like multiplicative sharing, or maybe addition. This one is XOR, right? And maybe for additions, additive sharing, then it can be work. Yeah.
Okay, so you need some kind of homomorphic secret sharing scheme.
Yes.
I see. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you for your questions.
Okay, so probably we can end the session here. And thank you both the speakers for your